At the very beginning, we meet Arthur Dent, an ordinary Brit who wakes up one morning in his country cottage only to find out that it's about to be demolished. The reason? The local authorities want to build a bypass road right through his house. Arthur, still in his pajamas, lies down in front of the bulldozer and decides not to let himself be wiped off the face of the earth. This is a classic scene of absurdity. It's the eternal British bureaucratic irony, where all the paperwork was supposedly posted, just on the other side of town. Arthur's old friend Ford Prefect comes to see him, a strange, somewhat eccentric guy with an odd sense of humor. Ford urgently needs to talk, but Arthur can't tear himself away from his protest. Ford eventually drags Arthur into a pub, a classic English one, and tells him, "I'm an alien, and the Earth will be destroyed in a few minutes." It turns out Ford isn't human at all, but a reporter working on a guide to the galaxy for space tourists. And even though they're sitting in the bar, drinking beer and snacking on peanuts, which are important for maintaining homeostasis during teleportation, a Vogon fleet is already heading toward the planet. Huge yellow Vogon ships, piloted by cosmic bureaucrats, appear in the sky. They announce that Earth will be destroyed because a hyperspace bypass is scheduled to go through it, and all the paperwork has long been available in the Alpha Centauri archives. Arthur manages to see this final message in the sky just before the planet explodes. Thanks to Ford's expert galactic hitchhiking, he and Arthur manage to teleport onto a Vogon ship just in time. Once on board, they encounter the Vogons, creatures notorious for their terrible poetry. Their captain decides to torture them by forcing them to listen to one of his poems. Afterward, the heroes try to pretend that the poem was interesting, but the Vogons throw them out into open space anyway. In open space, they only have a few seconds to survive. And by an amazing coincidence, or thanks to the improbability drive, they are picked up by the spaceship Heart of Gold. The Heart of Gold is one of the newest and most powerful spaceships ever built by galactic civilization. But this ship is special. It runs on the improbability drive, a technology that allows it to travel anywhere in the universe by manipulating probability. The effects of this engine are chaotic, random, and often absurd. During hyperspace jumps, you might temporarily turn into a potted plant, a piece of poetry, a fish, or suddenly invent the theory of relativity. On board the ship, the main role is played by Zaphod Beeblebrox, the president of the galaxy, a hedonist, a con artist, and a revolutionary. His goal isn't just to travel, but to steal the ship that was supposed to be handed over to the government. He's searching for the mysterious planet Magrathea, which everyone believes is just a myth. On the surface, Zaphod acts carelessly, even idiotically, but it soon becomes clear that he's hiding something, even from himself. He deliberately blocked part of his own memory so he wouldn't know why or where he was going. It's the classic idea of a mad leader in an absurd universe. Also on board is Trillian, or Tricia McMillan, a former Earthling and acquaintance of Arthur's. They once met at a party in London, where Arthur tried to hit on her, but she left with Zaphod. Trillian is smart, ironic, analytical, and often the only one who acts logically. The ship is also accompanied by Marvin, a robot with a truly human personality. In reality, this means he is extremely intelligent, but chronically depressed, cynical, and sarcastic. He hates everything, himself, the passengers, and even the doors that greet every opening far too cheerfully. When Arthur and Ford come to their senses, they meet the crew and gradually start to figure out what they've gotten themselves into. Everything around them is absurd. The ship's computer, Holly, is constantly smiling and annoyingly friendly. The doors sigh with joy every time they open. The kettle doesn't work because the ship can't figure out how to make real tea. Reality keeps shifting, since the improbability drive causes effects like, now you're penguins, now you're not. Even though Zaphod himself doesn't remember his true motive, the ship is heading toward the mysterious planet Magrathea, which was once the center for building planets for the wealthiest inhabitants of the galaxy. It sounds like a legend, like a forgotten myth. But the way to it is open, and everything points to something very important ahead. As soon as the ship approaches, Magrathia's defense system tries to destroy them. After a brief panic, Zaphod and the crew experience a strange explosion, and then everything goes quiet. The ship lands, but on the world of Magrathia, nothing seems accidental anymore. They meet Slardabardfast, an old planet architect who personally created the fjords of Norway. I'm very proud of them and even won an award, but no one ever asked why there are fjords in a place where there shouldn't be any. Slardabardfast talks about a massive project. Earth wasn't just a planet, it was a computer. This planet was built by Magrathia for another race to find the answer to the ultimate question. A long time ago, a hyper-intelligent race created the supercomputer Deep Thought to answer the question, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything else? After 7.5 million years of calculations, Deep Thought answered, 42. The disappointment was immense. After all, without a clear formulation of the question, the answer is worthless. To find the real question, an even more powerful computer was created, the planet Earth. Slardabardfast shows Arthur and the others gigantic diagrams that prove humanity, nature, history, all of it was part of an experiment. Humans are not the masters of Earth, but simply components of the program. The computer was almost finished with its calculations. The Vogons destroyed Earth just 5 minutes before the final result. Yes, they accidentally wiped out the most important computational process in the universe. Surprise! The most intelligent beings on Earth were not humans. They were mice, who are actually four-dimensional creatures. They used humans as part of an experiment and observed the process through laboratories. Now these mice reappear as two experimenters on Magrathia. They want to buy Arthur's brain because they believe it might still contain information about the real question to the answer 42. Obviously, the heroes don't want Arthur's skull to be cut open. Chaos and an escape ensue. They literally break out of the trap, not knowing whether the question really remained in Arthur. Before they escape, Slardabardfast gently hints to Arthur that maybe this whole trip wasn't about finding the meaning, but just about taking the journey. Sometimes the journey is more important than the answer. After the wild events on Magrathia, the Heart of Gold crew returns to the ship. Everyone is a bit stunned. Zaphod tries to look like he's got everything under control. Ford tries to calm himself down with some philosophical thoughts. Trillian is the only one acting practical. Arthur just wants a cup of tea. Arthur asks the ship's computer, Holly, to make him a cup of English tea, but Holly doesn't know how to make proper tea. The ship produces a murky drink with a substance that's supposed to be chemically similar to tea, but it tastes like a horrible synthetic mess. This is a satire on how excessive automation, that is, smart technologies, can make even simple things absolutely impossible. The crew discusses the answer 42. This makes them realize that they know the answer, but they don't know the actual question. And the Earth, which could have provided it, has been destroyed. That's why their entire space adventure is now meaningless. It's a reflection of our own civilization. Even when we have information, we don't always have meaning. Even when we have resources, we don't always have direction. Marvin, as expected, appears at the moment of perfect harmony with the phrase, "I was just talking to the engine." Now it's depressed too, and will probably explode. But the engine doesn't explode. It just starts up, yay, and the ship sets off on a new adventure. The heroes head into the unknown. They have no plan, no specific goal, no clear meaning, but they do have tea. Well, almost. The ship and the guidebook, whose cover still says in big letters, "Don't panic." That's the main advice of this absurdly wonderful story. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this summary, Don't forget to write in the comments which book you'd like to see next. Your ideas are very important. See you in the next videos.